kinds of tests on me. Brainwave, they didn't find much, but they did a lot of tests, and I was still hurting. So they were getting ready to do a spinal tap, and thought I might have spinal meningitis. Actually, 8 years before, my father died of bacterial spinal meningitis. But, excuse me, anyway, my mother, in desperation, called my oldest brother, who was in Davenport, Iowa, going to Palmer. Excuse me. And Alan said, take him over to the Gonstead Chiropractic Clinic. So my mother called and talked to Dr. Gonstead personally. And he said, bring Gerald over. So they brought me over into this, and this wasn't in the clinic that he has now. This was an older clinic, the clinic before. And it was about 6 in the evening, and there's about 40 people ahead of me. And maybe 30, I don't know. But we waited quite a while, and finally, they took me back to this room, and this kind of big man, and with this Norwegian accent came in, and he sat me down in this chair and started palpating my neck, and he pushed a spot, and I just kind of jumped there. It was second cervical vertebra. That hurt. Anyway, he told his CA to get some x-rays of me. So she did the x-rays and then put me back in the room, and then he walks in the room and he says, Gerald has a rotated second cervical vertebra and it's causing his headaches, and he can't speak correctly either because of that. Well, so he sat me down in the chair, and those of you who use Gonstead know exactly what I mean. He set that segment, and it sounded like a shotgun went off. It didn't hurt, but it was very dynamic, and all of a sudden it felt like the world was taken off my shoulders. I felt just such a sense of relief that I could turn my neck freely, because I was really worried about this. My mother was too. So anyway, that was my introduction to chiropractic. Later, I became a chiropractor. I went to school, and I learned what happened to my neck. We owned a cheese factory in the central part of the state between Greenwood and Withee, on the other side of Marshfield. And we had this truck driver. Back then, you know, the health stayed in the same building with the rest of our family, for instance. And this guy named Oscar Schmidt, I was only about 3 or 4 years old. He used to throw me up and catch me. Well, one time he didn't catch me too good. And, you know, landed, probably as a child, it hurt for a short time, but then after that, I probably didn't notice it, but I played a lot of sports and things like that. So eventually I was able to trace that subluxation that started way back when I was a child. And of course, in your practices, you see people that will have problems that started way back, sometimes during the birth process. And that was pretty amazing to me, how something that could be so far back.